my friend Jackie.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the What's Up with DJ podcast, where I discuss all things that interest me and hopefully you as well. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the family. And for my returning listeners, thank you for joining me again as we dive into part two of my unforgettable experience at the MexiSoul Retreat. Now, this wasn't my first time visiting Guadalajara or Tepatitlán, or even my first time at MexiSoul. This retreat has become a bit of a safe haven for me, and every visit brings something new and transformative. In part one, I touched on the journey and the highlights that set the stage for an incredible week. Today, we're diving deeper into the ceremonies and moments that made this trip unlike any other. So get comfortable and let's relive the magic of MexiSoul together. So before we entered the Temazcal, there was this beautiful ritual led by one of the facilitators. Pedro, who translated English from Spanish, helped us all understand the significance of the ritual, which added so much depth to the experience. This moment wasn't just about the group standing and turning, it was a pause to honor something bigger than ourselves, which set the tone for what we were about to experience inside of the Temazcal. I didn't catch his name, but his presence was calm and grounding. He guided us through a moment of reflection and gratitude, asking the group to face all directions, first north, west, east, and finally south. Each direction represented a different aspect of life and nature, like the rising and setting sun and everything in between. It was about honoring the energy of the earth, the elements, and the interconnectedness of it all. Alright, so here is inside of the Temazcal, our sweat lodge. We were about to begin the ceremony. Well, let me walk you through what's about to happen because this experience is both intense but still transformative. So these are the lava stones heated to really high temperatures. They look like glowing coals, but they are actually volcanic stones chosen for their ability to retain and radiate intense heat. The stones are central to the ceremony. They're carefully brought into the sweat lodge session multiple times during the session to intensify the heat throughout the ceremony. I think they added additional stones about 4 or 5 times in total. And let me tell you, each time they brought in more stones, the heat inside the lodge, let me tell you, it's hot, especially during the middle point. I would say that was the most overwhelming part of the entire experience. We all sat in a circle around the stones in this dimly lit space. It was hot, unbelievably hot. I was sweating like crazy, and the heat felt like it was reaching every layer of my being. It almost like you're swimming in a hot pool. When the ceremony was over, stepping out into the cool air felt like being reborn. But then came the final act of renewal, the plunge. Just a few steps away from the Temazcal was this beautiful fountain with water so cold it took your breath away. So we all immersed ourselves completely as a way to seal the ceremony. After all that heat, I had no problem with plunging into this cold water. The shock of the cold water was invigorating. It jolted me back into my body. It was the perfect way to end the experience, like a symbolic shedding of everything I no longer needed. As we stood together, some laughing, some silent, you could feel the shared sense of renewal in the air. The Sweat Lodge, our Temazcal experience, was about more than just the physical challenge. It was about release, connection, and transformation. And that icy plunge at the end was an unforgettable exclamation point. It's not just a physical challenge, it's also deeply emotional and spiritual. So, the cacao ceremony was one of the most heart centered and grounding experiences of the retreat. For those who may not be familiar with cacao, it is the pure, unprocessed form of chocolate. It comes from the cacao bean, which has been used ceremonially for centuries in indigenous cultures across Central and South America. But this isn't the sugary hot chocolate we're used to. Ceremonial cacao is rich, earthy, and slightly bitter, but packed with nutrients and natural compounds that are believed to support emotional release and heart centered connection. Is often referred to as a sacred plant medicine used to open the heart and deepen self awareness. As we sipped the warm, earthly cacao, there was a calm and reflective energy that settled over the group. The ceremony leader invited us to set intentions, to think about what we wanted to let go of, and what we wanted to welcome into our lives. It wasn't just about drinking cacao, it was about creating space to connect with ourselves and each other on a deeper level. During the cacao ceremony, we were introduced to an extraordinary practice I hadn't encountered before: light language. So, light language is a form of vocal expression that transcends traditional words and speaks directly to the soul. Jacket Hirad, who is the author of the Little Book of Light Codes, Healing Symbols for Life Transformation, who writes under the pen name Lara, asked the group if we wouldn't mind her sharing a bit of her gift of light language. At first, I didn't know what to expect. It's not something you interpret or translate, it's something you feel, experience, and allow to resonate deeply within you. Check it out.
Pakiakatanay si Chikanatana isiyo takanadi isaya takamunay ikanataray iso. Ratana isi tikvachana asay. Hokiakatanay. Ayu atakanay si achatara adikapananay sukana ato. Pia asay, shola asay. Radararay tikmadakukona dai esiya kanakapasya.
At first, I was kind of taken back, but then again, it kind of reminded me of when I was a kid in church and people would start speaking in tongues. Well, that experience reminded me of the importance of slowing down and truly listening to my inner voice. Moments like these remind us how transformative it can be to pause and just be present to something different. What light language means to me was a reminder to get back to a sense of connection with myself and my emotions. What Jackie shared with the group was deeply vulnerable and profoundly moving. What are your thoughts on light language? I enjoyed what I heard. I'd like to hear your story. Let me know in the comments below. One of the last ceremonies I experienced during the retreat was the Bufo Ceremony. And I saved this footage as one of the last for a reason. Bufo is often regarded as the most potent of all the DMT medicines, derived from the secretion of the alvarez toad, also known as the Sonoran desert toad, This toad is renowned for producing venom that contains 5-MeO-DMT, a powerful psychoactive compound. This wasn't my first Bufo experience. In fact, I had participated in this ceremony twice before, but both times were a blur. I was the second participant to sit on the mat with the shaman and the supporting staff members. I inhaled the smoke, and almost immediately I felt the intensity building. After inhaling the smoke, I gently laid back, and it took only 2 or 3 seconds before I passed out. The experience felt as though it stretched on forever, though it lasted probably about 15 minutes. When the effects of the bufo began to subside and the facilitators determined I was safe to go outside, as the sun hit my skin, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief. Thank God it was over. This ceremony is not something to take lightly. It's powerful, raw, and deeply transformative. On the final night of the retreat, after dinner, we all gathered in the oracle area for a drumming circle. The fire was at the center of it all, burning steady and strong, and above us the stars seemed unusually bright. There was this energy, a quiet energy in the air, a mix of reflection and gratitude. The drum circle was about letting go and simply feeling the rhythm. Each beat brought a sense of connection, not only to those around the fire, but to something greater than ourselves. We all sang songs, the songs we had learned during the retreat. The fire and the drum beats filled the space, and for a while, there was no need for words. We all were just present, allowing the rhythm to carry us. Leaving the finca is never easy. The connections, the insights, the incredible food, it always feels like I'm leaving something important behind. But as I said my goodbyes to the other participants and the MexiSoul staff, there was comfort in knowing I would be back again to experience this dynamic place. As a few of the other participants and I were shuttled back to the airport in Guadalajara, I couldn't help but reflect on everything that had unfolded over the week. Each ceremony, each conversation, and each quiet moment always leaves a lasting impression on me. I gained so many insights about myself, pieces of clarity I didn't know before I arrived. The drive felt both long and short, but truthfully, at this point, my mind was set on getting back home. On the plane, I finally had to sit with my thoughts, staring out at the clouds during the day and then the lights from the cities below at night. I replayed moments from the retreat in my mind, the laughter, the tears, the breakthroughs. I knew it'll come to unfold in the weeks and months ahead. Ayahuasca has a way of reminding you of the experiences and insights you captured during the ceremony and the overall retreat. The retreat may have ended, but I know the impact is only just beginning. I had a great conversation with the Uber driver as I gazed at the familiar streets. They looked different somehow, but of course, the city hadn't changed, but something within me had. Even the small talk with the driver reminded me of the importance of connection and being present. When I finally arrived home, I was greeted by my cat, Tiger, and Gracie. The week taught me something invaluable: to trust the process, embrace the unknown, and lean into the beauty of life as it unfolds. Every step we take, no matter how small, has the potential to lead us to growth. Sometimes the journey doesn't end when you return home. Sometimes that's where it really begins.
What you doing, Tiger?